Hello, today we're looking at neutralization of acids and salt production. So neutralization and salt production. And we're going to remember, or we're going to learn, hopefully, three kind of general equations that's going to help us with some predictions. The first one here, we've got acid plus alkali. And by alkali, examples would be soluble metal hydroxides. Most metal hydroxides are insoluble, but the ones that are soluble, for example, sodium hydroxide, these are what we call alkalis. And when they react together, we get a neutralization reaction and we get the production of a salt, a type of substance called a salt, and water. So that's our first one. For the second one, we've got acid plus base will give us salt and water. So the only one difference there is we've got a base instead of an alkali. And an example of a base would be metal oxide. And this is not soluble, doesn't dissolve in water. So this would be a metal oxide or an insoluble metal hydroxide. So these are examples of what we might call a base. And we still get the same two products. We get salt and water, but as you can see in our container there, the base has not dissolved. It has reacted with the acid to make a neutral solution. It's still neutralization, but it hasn't dissolved in the acid. Okay, so these are the first two. The next one is slightly longer, but not too much harder to remember. We've got an acid reacting with a metal carbonate, and that produces salt, water, and carbon dioxide. So we get salt and water in all three, but when we react with a carbonate, we get carbon dioxide gas as well. An example of a metal carbonate would be something like calcium carbonate, which I'm sure you've come across before in chemistry. But calcium carbonate is an example of a metal carbonate for our third equation. Okay, so we can use these to help us make predictions of the type of salt that you will get with the reaction that you have. So we're going to have a go at doing that. The type of salt actually depends on the positive ion that we have in our alkali, our base, or our metal carbonate. So that's this column of chemicals, alkali, base, or metal carbonate. So the salt we get depends on the positive ions in the alkali, in the base, or in fact in the metal carbonate that we have as well. Okay, so we're going to have a go at predicting salts, or working out which salt we're going to get depending on the reaction. But there's one more thing we need to know and remember as well. We've visited this before, but we're going to add one more to our list. So we have hydrochloric acid, and that makes the salt something chloride. It will be a salt that's a chloride. So an example of that is sodium chloride. So that's a salt, and it's made from hydrochloric acid. Sulfuric acid will make the salt, or will make a sulfate, and an example of that is sodium sulfate. So that's a salt made from a reaction with sulfuric acid. And the last one is nitric acid, and that makes the salt, or that makes a nitrate salt. And again, an example could be sodium nitrate. But which one of these depends on which acid we use and which of the three chemicals we have from this slide here, whether it's an alkali, a base, or a metal carbonate. So we're going to put that information from the last two slides at the top there, just to help us remember, and then we're going to have a go at predicting the type of salt that's made in three equations. So for the first one, we're going to use these two blue boxes. For the first one, we've got hydrochloric acid reacted with sodium hydroxide. We know that hydrochloric acid will make a chloride based on that information there. We do have to remember that, but we'll have them in front of us for the first couple. And we know we're going to get the production of water. So we're going to get a chloride and water. But which chloride do we get? Well, that depends on the positive ion that we have in our alkali, and that's actually sodium. Sodium is a metal, and it will make a positive ion. So in this case, we're going to have sodium chloride plus water. So for the first one, sodium chloride plus water, let's just tidy that up a bit. Hydrochloric acid plus sodium hydroxide gives sodium chloride plus water. For the next one, we've got nitric acid plus magnesium oxide, and we know we're going to get water because the equation is, this is the acid plus base, and we know we get salt and water. Then acid is nitric acid, so it's going to be nitrate, and the positive ion is magnesium, so it's magnesium nitrate plus water. That's for our second example. For our third one, we've got a carbonate, and we know that a carbonate will give us salt, water, and carbon dioxide. We've got sulfuric acid, which will give us a sulfate. So we can add our our water and carbon dioxide at the end there, because we know we get those two products. And to work out our salt, well, we know that sulfuric acid will give us a sulfate, and the positive ion there is actually calcium. So we get calcium sulfate plus water plus carbon dioxide. Had to shorten the arrow there a little bit so I could fit it in. Okay, so these are how we would predict our salts. Now what we really need to be able to do is to work them out or do the predictions without the help of those two blue boxes. So for our first one, we've got nitric acid. We know that makes nitrate. And we've got potassium hydroxide, so we're going to have potassium nitrate plus water. For our second one, hydrochloric acid makes chloride, and we've got the positive ion of zinc. So that is zinc chloride and water. Remember, zinc oxide is a base. And for the last one, it's magnesium carbonate, so we're going to get magnesium sulfate. And then the other two products are water and carbon dioxide. Okay, so hopefully you would have paused and had a go at those. And for the last one, we can again pause if you want to and have a go at this one, but this time we're working backwards. We're working out how to make magnesium nitrate. So we need nitric acid because nitric acid makes nitrate. We need a compound with magnesium as the positive ion, and we can use, for example, magnesium hydroxide, and that would give us our magnesium nitrate that we're after, and we'll get another product of water as well. So we've got our magnesium nitrate and we get some water. Okay, so this is how we would predict the salts we get when we have neutralization of acids and salt production. So hopefully that made sense. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you very soon.